Hello, hello. Well, today, thank you for joining me. Today, I want to talk about prescription drugs for 2026 and what is going to be changing for 2026. There's not a lot of changes, but it's worth having a conversation about, especially most of you, I would say 90% of you, are taking some type of medication and have a Part D plan, whether it's in your Medicare Advantage plan or whether it's a separate Part D plan. So let's just kind of get into it. It's not going to take us long. If you have any questions, just let me know. Again, this is the number that I want you guys to use. This is going to be my new Medicare number. On this number, you'll get any voicemails I want to leave you, any text. You can call me on that number. So that's the best number right there because that number is already recorded. And so, yeah, whenever I have a Medicare conversation, the conversation has to be recorded. And so that number will work. All right, let's talk about some prescription drugs. I don't really want to talk about the history of this, so I am going to skip this. Okay, so as you know, you're not required to enroll in Part D if you don't want to. You can get it from a private insurance company. That's how you get your Part D plans. And you get it through a standalone prescription drug plan, or it is within your Medicare Advantage plan. Each year, each calendar year, there's always changes when it comes to your Part D. We're getting into the annual enrollment period where you can change your prescription drug plan. This is going to be the only time that you can change throughout the year, unless you have a special circumstance like you lost credible coverage or you moved to a different state or something like that. But other than that, October the 15th through December the 7th is going to be the only time that you are able to change your prescription drug coverage. So if you've been wondering, either way, you need to look at it because the plans change each year, and you want to make sure that you have a plan that's going to work for you in 2026. So the premiums will vary. Some of your Medicare Advantage plan, and even some of your prescription drug plans have $0 premiums, and some of them are going to be a bit more than that. So you're going to have to just figure out what works best for you, the way that it covers the medication and all of that. For the prescription drug plans, you can take it out of you can do a monthly coupon book or a bill, take it out of your Social Security check, take it out of your bank account. So you have options as to how you want to pay. If you do not have prescription drug coverage or you drop prescription drug coverage and there's a 63-day gap, then you will have the late enrollment penalty. The late enrollment penalty is a forever thing. The late enrollment penalty is 1% for each month that you could have had drug coverage that you didn't have it. So next year is going to be 1% of $38.99 because they base it on the national base beneficiary premium. So say you were without coverage for 1 month, your penalty would be almost 4 cents. Okay. And so the longer you're out without coverage, the more your penalty is going to be. And it will be 12% each year, and it's cumulative. So the first year is 12%, then it's 24%, then it's 30%, and you got my point. Okay. This is just some general stuff about the prescriptions. As you know, last year, the donut hole went away. So now there is 3 particular stages of prescription drug coverage. There is the yearly deductible, the initial coverage limit, and the catastrophic coverage. And we're going to talk about each one of these a little bit more in depth for 2026. So the deductible. The deductible on the plan for 2026 is $615. Okay. That is for a basic plan. Now, there are some plans that will have no deductibles. Some deductibles won't be as high as 615. Some deductibles are just on specific drug tiers. So there's different ways that this deductible can work, but the most that it can be is $615 for 2026. Okay. The coverage stage. So you've got the deductible stage, whether it's 0 or 615. The coverage stage is where you are paying copays. So or co-insurance. The copays could be $5, $10, but co-insurance is a percentage. So co-pays is a flat dollar amount. Co-insurance is a percentage. What I want you to know for 2026 too is when you've got those tier 3 drugs, and we're going to talk about the different tiers in a minute. But a lot of those drugs are moving from co-pays to co-insurance with a lot of companies this year. So you may be used to paying a co-pay, let's say of $42 or $47 or something like that. If you have a prescription that is, let's say $500, then you're going to pay, instead of paying that 42 or 47, you're going to pay $100 for your prescription. If it's $1,000, you'll pay $200. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Now, another thing I want you to keep in mind is that you do have an out-of-pocket maximum. The out-of-pocket maximum is $2,100. So once you have reached $2,100, then the insurance company is going to cover the rest of your medication for the rest of the year. And that $2,100 includes both the deductibles and the co-pays or co-insurances that you've paid. So that is something that if you have those really expensive medications, that's something to keep in mind. Now, there are different tiers when you're looking at the prescription drug coverage. Tier 1 is going to be preferred generic drugs. And so those are going to be the least expensive. Sometimes those are $0. You don't have a copay. Sometimes, it's $5. So those are going to be the least expensive, your tier 1. Your tier 2 drugs are going to be a bit higher than your tier 1 drugs. And those are going to be some generic drugs and some brand name drugs. But whereas the tier 1 are preferred generics, these are just regular generic drugs and a few brand name drugs in there too. But the copay for that is going to be a little bit higher than it is for your tier 1 in general. Now, tier 3 is where you're looking at brand name drugs. That's what's on there. Most of the tier 3s are going to be brand name drugs. And that's where you're going to see a lot of change as far as a flat copayment over to a co-insurance. So if you are taking a drug that is a brand name drug, then you may find yourself paying a lot more if it's a tier 3 drugs. Tier 4 and 5 are going to be your most expensive drugs. And you're going to have the highest co-insurance when it comes to those. So keep that in mind also. Okay, I think I've already said this. Once you reach that $2,100 in out-of-pocket costs, you enter into the catastrophic phase, and then you don't have to pay anything for the rest of the year. The insurance company is going to pay your prescription drugs from that point on. And that goes through the end of the year. One thing that you have to consider when you're looking at your prescription drugs is your formularies. So a formulary tells you exactly how the insurance company is going to handle your drugs. A formulary, it lists all of the covered medications. Now, every brand of medication does not have to be covered by every formulary. Every type of medication has to be covered, but not every brand. So that's where you get that differences in different formularies. And different formularies are going to cover different medications. And your formulary is going to include both your brand name drugs and your generic drugs. For your drugs to be covered, for them to go towards that $2,100 or go towards that deductible, they have to be drugs that are on the plan's formulary. If they are not on the formulary, then they will not count towards either the deductible or the out-of-pocket maximum. Now, if your drug is not on the formulary, you can request a exception for non-covered medication. So that is something that you can do with the insurance company. You can also request a tier reduction. So say your medication is on a tier 4 and you would like for it to be on a tier 3 or tier 3 to tier 2. If the medication is too expensive, you can ask them to do a tier reduction too. So you do have some options when it comes to your medication. Another thing that I want you guys to consider is that there is a pharmacy network. There are standard pharmacies and there are preferred pharmacies. If you go to a preferred pharmacy, then your medication is going to be less than if you go to a standard pharmacy. So if you don't know what pharmacy is preferred, then you can contact me, you can contact the company, and they will be, or you can go online too, but because most of the insurance companies have formularies or pharmacy finders on their websites, and you can find out what pharmacy is a preferred pharmacy, and then you're going to want to go to that pharmacy so that you can pay less in your co-pays or co-insurance. Also, you have an option of mail order. Mail order usually a lot of times is also going to be a better deal for you, and you'll pay less than if you go to a standard pharmacy. And sometimes you'll pay less even if you go to a preferred pharmacy. So if you are looking to save, you may want to consider using the mail order option. And each company uses different mail order companies. So you would need to call the number on the back of your card to see who your mail order company is, and then you can be set up with that company to do the mail order. And mail order prescriptions are normally a 90-day supply. If you are a person and you are a lower income person, then there is something called extra help. Extra help will help with your prescription drugs. It will limit the amount that you have to pay for both the deductible. It also gets rid of the late enrollment penalty, and it also reduces the amount that you have to pay for co-insurance or co-payments too. So if you are lower income, it may be something that you want to check into. You can check it out by going to this website, Social Security Administration, or you can call 1-800-772-1213. There are different ways that you can apply for the extra help, but it is definitely, if you think you may be eligible for it, it is definitely something that you want to look into because it can be very, very beneficial. Another thing that can be beneficial for you too is the prescription payment plan. So when the prescription drug plans were redone, they were kind of overhauled, and the prescription payment plan came into effect. This is where it spreads out your prescription drug costs over the calendar year. So anyone with a Medicare drug plan or a Medicare health plan with drugs can use this payment option. Every company has to offer this payment option, but participation is voluntary. So they offer it, but you don't necessarily have to get involved with it unless you choose to. You can sign up for the program at any time before your coverage, or even after your coverage begins, you can sign up for the coverage. And it will help to smooth out, because it's got that $615 deductible, especially if you're taking like really expensive drugs. That can really help to smooth out so you don't have to pay as much that first at the beginning of the year. So how does it work? You go to a pharmacy and you fill the prescriptions that you need. You don't pay the pharmacy. Instead, you're going to get a bill from your health insurance or your health plan. And in that bill, what they're going to do is they're going to take what you owe and divide it by the number of months that's left in a year. So for instance, let's say the first month, your drugs are, let's say $48, because I can't think. So for that first month, it's going to be $4 that you're going to owe, because that's 48 divided by 12. The second month, you're going to have that same $48, and then you're going to have $44. So it's 44 plus 48, which is 92. So they're going to take that 92 and divide it by 11, and that's how much you would pay for the February payment. And so it just continues on. But it does give you, like, again, that payment smoothing, so you're not paying it all up front. If you have more questions about that, you can always contact your insurance company, and they'll be able to give you the lowdown on what's going on with that. Or you can call and ask me questions too. All right. So I hope that this was helpful. You're going to want to make sure that you look at your prescription drug coverage this year, because there could be a lot of changes, and you want to make sure that you're in the right plan and that the plan that you have is going to meet your needs. So if you have any questions, you can email me, or you can call me, or you can just get in contact with me, and I'll be more than happy to help in any way that I can. I look forward to helping you find the very best plan for you in 2026, and hope you have an amazing day. Take care. Bye.